For decades, Northern England has been defined by a paradox. Despite being home to some of Britain's most dynamic cities, it is chronically underinvested in. With cities separated by distances you could drive in an hour or more, this region is connected by transport infrastructure that hasn't fundamentally changed since the Victorian era. But here is one undisputable fact. If the productivity of the North's 5 largest cities were brought up to the national average, it would add £40 billion per year to the UK economy. And 2026 marks a turning point. After years of false starts, cancelled plans, and broken promises, Northern England is finally seeing the largest coordinated regeneration effort in generations. This is the story of how Britain's North is being rebuilt. But here's a little caveat. Most major infrastructure projects in Northern England are in planning and design phases in 2026, not construction or opening. Let's explore the megaprojects that will transform Northern England in 2026. We begin our journey in the Lake District, where one of Britain's most ambitious infrastructure projects in decades is finally getting underway. Every single day, 570 million liters of water flow through a pipeline built between 1933 and 1955. This water travels 110 kilometers from Haweswater Reservoir through 6 tunnel sections to serve 2.5 million people across Cumbria, Lancashire, and Greater Manchester. However, this megaproject is not built to last forever. Like every other project, it also has its lifespan. After about 70 years of continuous operation, the Haweswater Aqueduct is reaching the end of its operational life. Sadly, the infrastructure that millions of people depend on every day now poses a potential future risk that is simply too great to ignore. To solve this problem, a proposal was made to replace over 50 kilometers of aging tunnel infrastructure within the 110-kilometer-long Haweswater Aqueduct, specifically in the 6 tunnel sections. Of course, this was a bold step that would benefit many people, but the price tag of the project was estimated at about £3 billion, making it the largest water infrastructure project ever undertaken in the Northwest. Interestingly, the project's client, United Utilities, decided to do something unprecedented in the UK water sector. Rather than the traditional procurement route, they opted for the UK's first ever direct procurement for customers model, a 25-year partnership that would see a private consortium not just build, but maintain and operate the new infrastructure. In January 2025, after a rigorous bidding process, the Strabag Aqueducts Consortium was named preferred bidder. The contracts were signed, the consortium was assembled, and in 2026, main construction finally began. Using cutting-edge underground tunneling techniques, hundreds of workers are now beginning the painstaking work of replacing infrastructure first laid down when Britain was still recovering from the Great Depression. If you want to understand the economic challenge facing Northern England, consider this comparison. To travel from Reading to London Paddington, about 35 miles apart, takes just 22 minutes. But to travel from Liverpool to Manchester Airport, which is a distance of just 29 miles, currently takes 1 hour and 25 minutes, with 21 stops along the way. What about Sheffield to Manchester? You will spend up to 54 minutes for a roughly 30-mile journey. Can you now see the roadmap of how the North has been underinvested in? The situation is so terrible that even the Leeds to Manchester line has only 2 fast trains per hour, which are often severely overcrowded. This is the connectivity problem that has held back the North for decades, and it's the problem that the TransPennine route upgrade is designed to solve. Back in the day, the government had tried to address this issue by proposing a £4.2 billion electrification scheme in July 2012. Among these schemes was a plan to transform the 76-mile corridor between York and Manchester via Leeds and Huddersfield. However, no action was taken for over 5 years until the program eventually launched properly in early 2017. Despite billions of pounds invested and thousands working on the project, only about 25% of the route had been electrified by 2026. It appears that the slow pace of the project execution seemed to be affected by the scale of the infrastructure. Over 5,000 staff are now employed across approximately 70 active work sites, spanning more than 100 kilometers. They're working on 65 bridges, 6 tunnels, and upgrading 12 stations along the route. According to James Richardson, managing director of the TransPennine route upgrade, the megaproject will increase services between Manchester and Leeds from 2 to up to 6 fast trains per hour by the time it completes in 2032. Journey times will drop from 50 minutes to 42 minutes. and the route will be fully electrified with 25 kilovolts AC overhead line equipment. The environmental benefits are also substantial, as the megaproject will remove up to 87,000 tons of carbon dioxide per year. Moving over to 190 kilometers beneath the North Sea, something remarkable is taking shape. We are talking about the Eastern Green Link 1, a 2.5 billion pound subsea and onshore high-voltage direct current transmission cable connecting Scotland's renewable energy revolution to England's power-hungry north. Apparently, Scotland has been quite successful in the renewable energy industry. They were truly remarkable, to the point that the total amount of electricity generated from their subsea and onshore wind farms exceeded local demand. As a result, they had to pay wind farms to turn off their power plants. Meanwhile, England continued to rely on fossil fuel generation and volatile global wholesale gas markets. Thanks to this problem, Scotland and England worked together to provide a solution that would be beneficial to both countries. Interestingly, the solution resulted in an engineering plan at a scale rarely seen in Britain. It was a joint venture between National Grid Electricity Transmission and SP Energy Networks to create the UK's first 525 kilovolts HVDC system, capable of transmitting 2 gigawatts of power, enough to power more than 2 million homes. By 2023, £1.8 billion in contracts had already been awarded. In July 2025, onshore works began simultaneously at both landfall points, that is, Torness in East Lothian, Scotland, and Hawthorne Pit in County Durham, England. Prysmian Group secured a £750 million contract to supply approximately 400 kilometers of cable. As 2026 progresses, onshore construction continues at both landfall sites. Converter station construction is advancing, and preparation for offshore cable laying is in progress. Everything is tracking toward the 2029 operational date. For over a decade, Northern Powerhouse Rail has been a promise, a vision, a plan that's been announced, delayed, scaled back, re-announced, and questioned so many times that cynicism became the default response. But on 14th of January 2026, something changed. The Labour government, led by Prime Minister Sir Keir Starmer and Chancellor Rachel Reeves, announced a £45 billion commitment to Northern Powerhouse Rail, with a phased delivery plan, a funding cap to prevent overruns, and genuine detail about what will actually be built. The scale is unprecedented and marks the largest commitment to Northern England infrastructure in modern history. Here's why this megaproject matters a lot. If the productivity of the 5 largest Northern England cities grew to match the national average, it could add up to £40 billion per year to the UK economy. However, the current connectivity existing in these cities is just too absurd. The January 2026 announcement laid out a 3-phase delivery plan designed to be completed across the 2030s and into the 2040s. Phase 1, scheduled for delivery in the 2030s, focuses on the backbone connections that will have an immediate impact. Hence, the Leeds-Sheffield line will be electrified and upgraded. This will reduce journey times to 40 minutes and triple or quadruple service frequency to 3 to 4 fast trains per hour. Furthermore, Leeds, Sheffield, York, and Bradford stations will all receive major capacity upgrades. Over £11 million has been allocated specifically for a new Rotherham Gateway station, ending the slow journeys that have held Rotherham back for years. There's also a commitment to work with Sheffield on expanding its tram train system. Phase 2 of the Northern Powerhouse Rail will feature a new route between Liverpool and Manchester, running via Manchester Airport and Warrington. This isn't just upgrading existing track, but will also include the construction of new railway, using a combination of newly constructed lines and existing infrastructure. The government is moving forward with the existing hybrid bill for planning, learning from previous mistakes by getting the details right before committing to construction timelines. And Phase 3 will feature improved connections between Manchester-Sheffield and Manchester-Leeds, with options for a Manchester-Bradford link. In 2026, most of the immediate activity of this megaproject, including planning, development, and design work, has commenced. Funded by £1.1 billion, allocated over the current spending review period. Manchester is experiencing an extraordinary high-rise boom. 27 buildings over 100 meters tall stand in the city as of 2025, and the skyline continues to evolve at a pace unmatched anywhere in Britain outside London. But one project stands above all the others. Literally, At 246 meters across 76 stories, Viaduct 2 will become the tallest building outside London and the third tallest in the entire UK. Apparently, Salboy Group, led by managing director Simon Ismail, had already completed Viaduct Phase 1 in 2024. It featured a 40-story tower with 375 apartments that sold out completely. And that success resulted in a new ambition to erect Phase 2 of this megaproject. But rather than just another residential tower, Ismail had grander plans. In October 2024, Salboy Group announced a partnership with Nobu Hospitality, owned by Hollywood actor Robert De Niro. Together, they redesigned Viaduct Phase 2 to accommodate a 160-bed Nobu hotel, Nobu restaurant, and 452 Nobu-branded residences. The apartment count dropped from an original 782 units, but the height actually increased slightly. This would be the UK's first major Nobu residential and hotel tower. What makes Viaduct 2 architecturally fascinating is its relationship with the site. The tower will be elevated above ground, with foundations built under a retained Victorian archway. It will have a transfer truss that minimizes structural elements connecting to the historic viaduct below, while its glass facade will feature aerodynamic chamfer corners and inclined facades, creating a rippled effect. Wind engineering analysis ensures the facade profile reduces wind speed and lessens pedestrian impact at ground level. The megaproject will also include a 23-story standalone tower with 133 affordable apartments, featuring a parallelogram-shaped footprint designed to fit closely to the viaduct edge. Construction is expected to start in Q2 2026, with a target completion date of Q4 2030, addressing Manchester's critical affordable housing needs. Once completed, the Viaduct scheme will have added almost 1,000 brand new homes to a coveted and popular location for the city's professional population. When Manchester City moved from Main Road to the City of Manchester Stadium in 2003, they inherited a venue built for the 2002 Commonwealth Games. At 48,000 capacity, it was impressive, but not among England's largest. In August 2015, the club added a 7,000-seat third tier to the South Stand, bringing capacity to 55,000. But that was just the beginning. By 2026, a £300 million expansion of the North Stand is transforming the Etihad into a year-round entertainment destination. The planning of this expansion was submitted in April 2023 and approved in July 2023. And during that summer, demolition of the city store began. Afterward, construction started in autumn 2023. By May 2025, the project had attained the topping out milestone, with the highest structural point of the roof structure erected. The stadium's expansion adds approximately 6,000 to 7,000 seats, bringing its capacity to around 61,000 to 62,170 seats. This will make the Etihad England's fourth largest club stadium, behind Old Trafford, the London Stadium, and Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Furthermore, the Etihad Stadium's expansion will also feature a 400 one-room hotel called the Medlock, which will be operated by Radisson Hotel Group. When it opens in late 2026, it will be one of Manchester's biggest hotels, operating 365 days a year. There will also be a covered City Square fan zone with a 3,000-seat capacity, providing pre- and post-match entertainment with an expanded club shop as well as a state-of-the-art museum to celebrate the club's history. When finished, the Etihad complex will rival the Bernabeu or Tottenham Hotspur Stadium in facilities and experience. Heading over to Trafford City, on the site of the former Event City Exhibition Centre, a £450 million project is taking shape that represents something entirely new for the United Kingdom. We are talking about a large-scale urban well-being resort called Therme Manchester. When complete in 2028, this 28-acre development will feature 10 pools, 18 water slides, 25 saunas and steam rooms, a wave pool, and the UK's first indoor all-season beach. Botanical gardens with hundreds of plant species will sit alongside immersive digital art installations. And all of it will be maintained at a constant 33 degrees Celsius year-round, regardless of the weather outside. Therme Manchester is the vision of Therme Group, a global well-being organization that's pioneering a new model with the aim of making luxury wellness accessible and affordable while maintaining the highest sustainability standards. The story begins in July 2019, when Therme Group first announced plans for a 250 to 300 million pound development on the former Event City site, adjacent to the Trafford Centre. Planning permission was granted by Trafford Council in March 2020, with construction scheduled to begin in 2021 and opening targeted for 2023. Then, COVID happened, and the project went quiet. But in June 2023, Therme Group returned with revised designs and a significantly increased budget of £450 million. The ambition had actually grown during the pause. Following the demolition of the former Event City in 2024 and early 2025, Sir Robert McAlpine was appointed construction manager, and on 12 September 2025, Therme Group held its Beyond groundbreaking event, which marked an official start to the construction. The megaproject is expected to be completed by the end of 2028. Therme Manchester's design revolves around 3 distinct themed zones, each targeting different visitor experiences. The Lagoon Zone is family-focused, featuring indoor and outdoor settings with next-generation water slides, wave pool, warm water pools, steam rooms, saunas, lounging areas, and family dining options. This is where kids and parents spend the day together. The Palm Zone offers adults-only relaxation. It features peaceful areas for rest and rejuvenation, with indoor and outdoor pools, waterfall showers, mineral baths, therapeutic pools, steam rooms, saunas, swim-up pool bars, and cafes. Lastly, the Elysium Zone represents premium adults-only wellness, featuring industry-leading health and nutrition therapies, diverse sauna rituals, experience showers, well-being consultations, spa therapies, personalized nutrition, and fresh, indulgent dining. Now let's take a look at a 45 hectares of largely underused railway industry land, sitting right next to York Railway Station and adjacent to one of Britain's most beautiful historic city centres. This is York Central, a £2 billion transformation that will fundamentally reshape one of England's most historic cities. For 2,000 years, York has been defined by its past: Roman walls, medieval streets, a Gothic cathedral that took 2.5 centuries to build. It's a city where history isn't something you visit in museums, it's the fabric of everyday life. Walk down any street, and you're tracing paths laid out before England was even called England. But here's York's problem in the 21st century. How do you grow when you're surrounded by your own heritage? For decades, the answer was you don't. You preserve, you protect, you stay exactly as you are. Until now. Because sitting just outside York's historic core, there's a 100-acre site that's been essentially abandoned for over a decade, a former railway land, an industrial brownfield, and a prime real estate doing absolutely nothing. It's called York Central, and it represents the biggest transformation in York's modern history. With over £650 million, the city is planning to build around 2,500 new homes in a city desperately short of housing. It also seeks to expand York Business Park and create a 1.3 million square feet of commercial space. This regeneration project will also create about 6,500 new jobs for residents of the city. What makes York Central fascinating is how it solves York's fundamental dilemma of how to create a modern, growing city without destroying what makes York special. In 2026, infrastructure works are ongoing. Residential development is progressing. The cranes are up, and the groundwork is laid. This is the year York Central transitions from concept to concrete reality. Think about what this means. For decades, York's economy has been built on 2 things: tourism and heritage. Both wonderful, both crucial, but both limited. You can only grow a tourism economy so much before you're just packing more people into the same medieval streets. However, York Central changes the equation. With high-quality office space, York Central Regeneration will attract companies that have nothing to do with Vikings or railway museums. Those companies will bring professionals who need places to live. Consequently, the professionals will support restaurants, shops, services, and the whole economic ecosystem. There you have it, the mega projects that will transform Northern England in 2026. Kindly let us know which of these mega projects interests you the most. Also, share with us your thoughts on all the Northern England mega projects currently being constructed. Until next time.